Hello everyone, welcome to a new special where I share my X-Men memories of me being an X-Men fan my entire life so far. You know, we just had the recent release of X-Men 97, there's a release of Deadpool and Wolverine this summer. My interest in Marvel Comics and X-Men is at an all-time high again. And I recently, the past couple of years, did a special called My Batman Memories and My Superman Memories that you can check out on the channel. For fellow 90s kids out there and Gen Xers, I just wanted to share my X-Men memories. Now, my brother was a huge Marvel Comics fan, and that was probably my first introduction to the X-Men. He had an X-Factor poster in his room. He read X-Men, and I remember staying with him at his apartment when he used to pick me up after school, and we used to watch Fox Kids. Well, a lot of people remember X-Men from the 90s, Saturday morning cartoons. I watched it after school, and it was during the lineup where they had Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, X-Men, with Mystic Knights, Beetleborgs, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Goosebumps. Fox Kids was something else, and that was my introduction to X-Men with that iconic theme song. Yeah, brings back memories. And during that time, I remember the Creator's Choice VHSs that were at Pizza Hut.
Strange and powerful forces are attracting people to Pizza Hut. It's the Marvel Comics X-Men video with a mini comic book, pull-out poster, and trading card. All for only $4.99 with any pizza purchase. There are 2 video packs to collect, so hurry and get your claws on them.
Oh, I'll wrap that up.
Exclusively at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut and Marvel Comics present Creator's Choice Volume 2, featuring the X-Men and starring Stan Lee, Bob Harris, Fabian Nicieza, and Scott Lobdell.
The thing that I really like most about the relationship between Magneto and Professor Xavier is we've always tried to have villains, or at least very often, who weren't totally bad. Now, to me, Magneto really thought he was a good guy. He felt he's a member of a group that are meant to rule the world, Homo superior as opposed to Homo sapiens. And he felt we're persecuted, we're hounded and hunted. Why shouldn't we strike back? We're superior to the human race. And from his point of view, maybe he was right. And Professor Xavier could always understand that. And he was always trying to reason with him and make him realize it.
The most successful comic book series in history comes to home video. Marvel Comics, X-Men, a heroic band of mutants. They do what must be done, and they do it with style. First in this exciting series comes Night of the Sentinels. Volume 2, Enter Magneto. Volume 3, Deadly Reunions. Volume 4, Captive Hearts. And Volume 5, Cold Vengeance.
Those were so cool. If you weren't lucky to get one, it was always at the video store, whether it be Blockbuster or Hollywood Video. You could always see Stan Lee and fellow creators talk about the X-Men and the influences behind the episodes. And that's one thing I loved about that show, is that show, like the recent show, X-Men 97, they go back straight to the comics and stays true to the Marvel Comics roots. And it wasn't really until the film was going to come out in 2000 that my fandom kind of peaked at an all-time high. They started showing the original 90s X-Men again in reruns, the ones I used to see some years earlier. And that was nice revisiting that. In addition, my brother, around that time, got me my first 2 graphic novels, the Dark Phoenix Saga and Secret Wars. And those 2 Marvel comic storylines changed my life forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now seeing the beginnings of another stage of human evolution.
The truth is,
that mutants are very real, and they are among us. We must know who they are, and above all, what they can do.
We're not what you think, not all of us.
Who are you people?
What kind of place is this? I'm Professor Charles Xavier. I built this school where mutants could learn to focus their powers in a positive way, and also learn that mankind was not evil, just uninformed. You'll be safe here from Magneto, a very powerful mutant who believes that a war is brewing between mutants and the rest of humanity.
There is a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
I've never seen anything like this before.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
Hold on to something.
And that was something, seeing the X-Men in live action. I was so pumped up to see these characters that I've seen in comics and cartoon and animation show up in live action. And that was something, my father and I went to see that on opening day. And it's funny because they gave out Toys R Us comics at the theater, and it got damaged. I wish I had a copy, but you can probably find them at half price or eBay. It had Ultimate X-Men #1, and that's where we saw Wolverine in the black and yellow suit, and that was so cool getting that comic during the movie. My mom got my nephew and I the X-Jet, all the toys.
With battle action sounds, just like in the movie, Wolverine and Sabretooth fight claw to claw. It's Cyclops to the rescue with the X-Jet. Storm, terrain, atmospheric disturbance. Cyclops fires electronic light-up optic blast pistol. Engage optic blast. Yeah! Release claw attack. The X-Jet grabs Sabretooth's attention. Gotcha! Mutant power within. The X-Men X-Jet. Figures in Liberty playset sold separately. Batteries not included.
X-Men, mutant power within. Logan's claws extend, just like in the movie, to do battle with Sabretooth's swiping attack. The evil mutants must be stopped. Magneto's magnetic power traps Cyclops.
Gotcha!
Storm's lightning lights up the sky. Cyclops fires his optic blast. Mutant power within. It's Wolverine's missile-firing X-Cycle.
Yeah!
Claw-slashing Wolverine cuts evil down to size. X-Men. X-Men figures and X-Cycle, each sold separately, batteries not included.
I had Wolverine, but his arm popped off, so that's why you don't see Wolverine here. But they went all out. They even had like the melted Senator Kelly. That was something, seeing Hugh Jackman, Ian McKellen. Patrick Stewart was born to play Professor Xavier. I mean, it's funny because kids now watch Star Trek The Next Generation and they're like, what's Professor X doing in the Enterprise? And I'm like, what's Captain Picard doing in the Mutant Academy? Oh man, it's just so cool. That movie is so iconic, and without Blade, Men in Black, or X-Men, we would not have the modern MCU. Seriously, that's what kickstarted Spider-Man. Then you had Daredevil. X2 took it another notch. But before we get to X2, that year they also had a movie tie-in game with X-Men Mutant Academy. That was such a fun game to play on PS1. I absolutely loved that game. They made a sequel, but I didn't get a chance to play it. I did play the Game Boy Color and PS1 versions where you can play as a movie suits. And then after that, in the summer, I stayed with my brother in Dallas, and he took me to go see X-Men at the Arboretum. We're almost going to see Mission Impossible 2. That was going to be the first movie I saw twice, but we decided to go to the arcade at last minute. So it was later on that he showed me X-Men, and I already seen it, but I said I don't mind seeing it again. So X-Men was the first film that I saw twice in theaters. And it was quite something, you know, to be a fan and see, You know, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't just like the comics, but to see the majority of it and these characters for the first time in live action was nothing short of incredible that I think we take for granted now. And later that year, I had my first moving experience, and during that time, Kids WB had X-Men Evolution. That was a cool cartoon. I kind of warmed up to it eventually. It was like that and Bam Beyond I kind of had hesitation towards because it wasn't the 90s shows. But I do like a lot of the elements they played with before the movies did, and that was kind of cool, especially with Stryker and like Wolverine and Sabretooth's backstories. So that was a neat cartoon. And then X2 X-Men United. Who could forget that teaser on Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers?
Doesn't it ever wake you in the middle of the night? The feeling that someday they will pass that foolish law and come for you and your children. Take you all away. It does indeed. I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul who comes to that school looking for trouble. What's happened to you? Don't you remember?
You should have killed me when you had the chance!
You're gonna kill him, Bobby!
No!
Welcome, Professor.
You haven't told him about his past.
Who was he?
I can't remember.
Sometimes anger can help you survive.
The war has begun. Eric, what have you done?
Mars from the Planets is just great. You should have killed me when you had the chance, Charles. I love that. That was a big movie that year. I remember getting the Dr. Pepper cans. Oh my God, we were so obsessed with them. I kept empty ones, but they got damaged during the moves. But yeah, I wish I had them all. They would have been displayed here, but that was such a huge film.
Who are you?
I keep feeling something terrible is about to happen.
I would never let anything happen to you.
It's about to get very cold in here.
I need you to read my mind.
Sometimes the mind needs to discover things for itself.
They say you're the bad guy.
Is that what they say? What a talent you have, then.
Most people will never know anything beyond what they see.
I have faith in you.
The next time you feel like showing off, don't.
I used to think you were one of a kind, Wolverine. I was wrong.
The Lady Deathstrike fight, that opening Nightcrawler scene, that John Ottman score for the first time, that dun 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 dun. Like, that was a big movie. My mom actually saw X-Men with us on VHS, this VHS, and we got it for Christmas, you know. My nephew and I, yeah, we got a lot of the same stuff. We loved the first X-Men. We loved the second X-Men. And it was a pretty cool time to be an X-Men fan, what they left off with the Dark Phoenix, what they went through with Wolverine's backstory. And then we get to X-Men The Last Stand. There is clearly a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and it was a weird time because Blade 2, X-Men 2, and Spider-Man 2 all were just superb films that kicked ass. And I don't know what the hell happened on the third entries on all of them. Like, all of them just took a giant nosedive compared to their predecessor. But we moved to another area because of my father's job, so it was weird. I was in middle school. I was on 6th grade going to 7th grade when X2 came out. And then I was end of my freshman year in high school, actually, when Last Stand came out. And that was cool. My brother and I saw the Da Vinci Code on Memorial Day. And the next day, my mom, brother, and I went to go see X-Men The Last Stand. My father and my nephew went for the second time. And that was something, seeing the stakes there.
A major pharmaceutical company has developed a way to suppress the mutant X gene permanently. They're calling it a cure.
There's nothing to cure. Nothing's wrong with any of us for that matter.
You of all people know how fast the weather can change.
Did you find what you were looking for?
The source of the cure is a mutant. More powerful than you.
Gee, something woke her. But she has to be controlled.
You know, sometimes when you cage the beast, I can't do this. The beast gets angry.
You have no idea. You have no idea what is upon us now.
Fury that this world has never witnessed.
Magneto's got an army out there. You go to war, you might not come home. She might not come home. You ready for that? We're not kids anymore. Hey, I'm not your father. If you want to go, be sure it's what you want.
It's time we make our choice. If you're with us, then be with us.
They wish to cure us. But I say we are the cure.
Look at me, G. We can help you. We can fix it. We can make it like it was. Stay with me, please.
Cyclops getting killed, the butchering of the Dark Phoenix saga, which wouldn't be too bad if it wasn't for the horrible Cure storyline. Like, there's just too many things happening in that film. Professor Xavier, the one out of the many times he was gonna die. Wolverine, there's some good humor though, and then there were some great like callbacks to the comics. It felt like the comics. That trailer was a lot more epic though than the movie. Yeah, that trailer made it seem like it was gonna be a bigger film. We thought we were gonna get like a pure Dark Phoenix saga, and I would have loved to see what Bryan Singer would have done with Sebastian Shaw and Archangel in the original plan there. After seeing Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, I'm sure it would have been awesome. But nevertheless though, it was one of those movies that just left you like, wow, they really did that, didn't they? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the first two. As a matter of fact, I think out of Blade, Spider-Man, and X-Men, I think X-Men has the strongest entry. It's not as good as the first two, but like by itself, it actually stands and holds up on its own compared to the other two films. And that was it for X-Men, other than like some video games. You had X-Men Legends, the Wolverine game, the X-Men tie-in game with X3. That was kind of cool with Hydra and Nightcrawler. They explained Nightcrawler's absence. After that, we had X-Men Origins Wolverine.
All the horrible things in your life. Your father. The wars. Knowing that the woman you loved was hunted down. I can make all this go away. Putting together a special team. With special privileges. Join me, but you will have your revenge.
I want new ones.
And what do you want him to say?
Wolverine.
Become the animal. Embrace the other side.
I think he heard you.
Don't worry, we'll stop him.
You just spent $500 million making him indestructible. know who you are, Gambit. I'm coming for blood. No code of conduct. No law.
You even know how to kill me.
I'm gonna cut your head off. See if that works.
My main beef with that movie, besides the cheap laziness aspect of it, I didn't like how some of the stuff with the flashbacks didn't match what we saw in X2. Other than that, though, I think it was an underrated movie. And for a while, I thought it was good. Even with them shutting Deadpool's mouth. Without that film, we might have never had Deadpool, so who knows. So that was quite something. And then they announced a reboot with a younger cast, and I was upset. I was like, why are they recasting Spider-Man and X-Men? What the hell? They're still young enough.
Name's Xavier. Charles Xavier. How do you do?
Cheers.
So much more to you than you know. Not just pain and anger. There's good in you too. What do you know about me? Everything. Here, you have the chance to be part of something much bigger than yourself. A new species is being born. Help me guide it. Shape it. Lead it.
The Russians have sent warheads to Cuba.
If that ship crosses the line, we will retaliate with a full response. We need your help to stop them.
So we're supposed to be the CIA's new mutant division.
They're too dangerous.
Mankind will turn on us. Not if we stop a war. Not if we risk our lives doing so. Would they do the same for us?
The law applies to human beings. The same laws don't apply to mutants.
We'll never be accepted into society.
Should we have to hide?
We have it in us to be the better man. We already are.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba against any nation in the Western Hemisphere as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States.
Two superpowers want to start World War III. Ready for this? Let's find out.
We can end this threat for good. Mutants are collateral damage.
The real enemy is out there. Humans. Killing will not bring you peace. Peace was never an option.
My mother and father and I were on a vacation in San Antonio, Texas. We went to the Alamo Draft House. We're like, what's playing at the Alamo Draft House? We're going to have like a movie and a meal, you know, for supper. And they were saying like X-Men First Class is the best superhero film since The Dark Knight or Batman Begins or whatever, better than Batman Begins. And I was like, what? I'm going to have to see this shit to believe it. And you know what? It actually was as good as Batman Begins. And I have to say, you know what made it? Is that they kind of lied to us. It wasn't entirely a reboot. It opens up and you see the concentration camp storyline with Eric. And I was like thinking, wait a second. This is a freaking prequel. And then Kevin Bacon and Sebastian Shaw, like that wasn't advertised. Like that movie completely surprised me. Henry Jackman's score with Frankenstein's monster and Magneto. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender were great. The cameos from Rebecca Romijn and Hugh Jackman. I mean, who could forget that? And it was like an exciting time to be an X-Men fan. Like it actually made me want to read comics. I remember like when I got the Blu-ray for that, I got the Magneto version. It had like a flip cover. And they had like a subscription for Marvel Comics digitally. I got them digitally because I was just that much into reading X-Men again. It like renewed my interest. It's funny because X-Men kind of has its highs and lows, and when it's high, it's really high.
My employer wants to say thank you for saving his life all those years ago.
There is a time when our enemies knew honor. I wanted to offer you something no one else can. A gift. You have struggled long enough. I can end your eternity. Make you mortal. What they did to me. What I am. Can't be undone. Don't be so sure. We're not healing like before.
His flesh is weak now.
Eternity can be a curse. A man can run out of things to live for. That day ain't here yet.
The Wolverine. I haven't seen the R-rated version, but I saw the PG-13 one, and the Wolverine kicked ass. I remember seeing that again at an Alamo Draft House, and that was so cool seeing the Silver Samurai story with some embellishments, and that ending with Magneto and Xavier coming back, telling him about Bolivar Trask and the Sentinels set up Days of Future Past. I love that. That started off my college life, and halfway through college...
I was sent here for you.
From the future?
50 years from now.
Could you give me that one more time, please?
Stay with me.
In the beginning, the Sentinels were just targeting mutants. Then they began targeting everyone. They've come a long way to guide us, to bring us together. The X-Men. We need your help.
Tell whoever it was that sent you that I'm busy.
The person who sent me was you.
It's going to take all of us to end this war.
Your beast?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pretty strong for a scrawny kid.
I said you need to leave.
You and I are gonna be good friends. You just don't know it yet.
We're gonna need Mystique.
Why?
You're a cold-hearted bitch.
Well, don't hold back.
Where's Magneto?
That man is a monster. He's being held 100 floors beneath the most heavily guarded building on the planet.
I know a guy. He'd be a young man now.
He's fascinating. He's a pain in the ass.
Prison break? That's illegal, you know. Well, only if you get caught.
Charles. Good to see you too, old friend.
This is gonna be fun.
There is a new enemy out there. You'll need a new weapon for this war.
Everything that happens now is in your hands.
Days of Future Past came out, and that was a story I always wanted to see. I was a fan of the comics, and I was a fan of the animated series, and I always wanted to see Bishop and that story done in live action. I remember seeing the first X-Men in 2000. It's like, I hope they get to Apocalypse and Days of Future Past, someday. And that theme by John Ottman, that's when I knew it was going to be an amazing movie just from the opening. I'm like, we're back and better than ever. That was a crazy movie, how they bridged both the young and old cast, and a happy ending, so to speak, as we thought. But I like how it rectifies certain things. It didn't exactly explain how, but it rectified. And it's funny because it wouldn't be later until the DCEU with all the cooks in the kitchens that we would have a convoluted universe, so to speak. But regardless, though, like, even the weaker X-Men films, I love. I love all the films. The Fox X-Men, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. I miss the Fox X-Men films the most. Like, I've always enjoyed those films. They may not have been 100% like the comics, but they had the essence and they were good movies on their own. So after that, After that, in 2 years, we had X-Men Apocalypse.
Ever since the world found out about mutants, there have been secret societies who see them as some kind of second coming or sign of God. They believe that tens of thousands of years ago, an ancient being was born, the world's first
Mutant.
You are all my children. And you're lost. Because you follow blind leaders. But I am here now. I'm here for you.
Wherever this being was, he always had 4 followers he would imbue with power.
Like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You got that one from the Bible.
Or the Bible got it from him.
What is it?
Oh, God.
He can control all of us. The world needs the X-Men.
That's why I'm here. To fight.
Not all of us can control our powers.
Then don't. This is war.
Everything they've built will fall! And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one!
I've never felt power like this before.
That wasn't as good as Days of Future Past, but I liked it in its own way. This theme song was back. James McAvoy, they actually explain how Xavier lost his hair. Magneto goes through a sad thing, and you get to see a young Cyclops and Jean Grey, Weapon X, just like the comics, was so cool. And the ending was like 90s suit X-Men. I love the ending. That would have been a perfect ending for the series, that or Days of Future Past. After that, we had Logan, the first rated R Wolverine. James Mangold returns, and he made a magnum opus. I have to say, it's funny. I think the Wolverine trilogy by itself, his 3 films, are kind of similar to Captain America. Like Captain America 1, I actually like Captain America 1 a lot. But like that and X-Men Origins are kind of like, they're okay. And then they have a really good second one and then an emotional third act. And it's like they keep getting better. And very few trilogies are like that. You either have a consistent trilogy, you have 1 and 3 with a bad second, or you have 1 and 2 that are outstanding and third's crap. Like it's very rare to like get better with each entry. And I feel like Wolverine with Logan and Captain America with Civil War kind of did that. And Logan was just everything you wanted, like a grounded adaptation of Old Man Logan. His daughter, X-23 Daphne King, was so great. Patrick Stewart, oh my God. We get to see Xavier die yet again, but like there's so much emotion there.
We got ourselves an X-Men fan. Maybe a quarter of it happened, and not like this. In the real world, people die.
Logan.
I don't want to talk about it.
Logan.
Just stop.
Be careful.
I need the girl.
What girl?
Go get her.
No. No. No.
And we're down.
She's like you. Very much like you.
I am not whatever it is you think I am.
She needs our help.
Someone will come along.
Someone has come along. This is what life looks like. People who love each other. A home. You should take a moment. Feel it. You still have time.
Boyd Holbrook is just awesome as the bad guy. Oh man, that movie. That movie was so good, and there was so much emotion there, and I almost feel like Deadpool and Wolverine kind of undermined that movie, but I'm glad to get a nice epilogue that's more comic accurate after the events of Logan. And I have to say, when I was younger, I was like, Magneto's bad. I kind of sympathize with Professor Xavier. You're older. You see the events of our world now. Imagine that with mutants. And I'm like, Magneto's the unsung hero of the X-Men. And then after that, you had X-Men Red, which was a great series that I was a huge fan of. It reminded me of the 90s comics. And unfortunately, it was cut too short. I heard that they recently came back. I haven't got a chance to check it out. We also had the TV shows The Gifted and Legion. Legion was such a good show with Dan Stevens, Aubrey Plaza. You had the Shadow King. I love seeing Charles Xavier's son. I wish we got Patrick Stewart, but it was cool to see Xavier and that whole backstory. A great show done by the showrunner who did Fargo. And it's funny because as much as people were kind of blown away by WandaVision, I recommend checking out Legion. That show is so cerebral. And then from that point on, we had Dark Phoenix. And Dark Phoenix was quite something.
Look. You're special, Jean. And if you stop fighting that force inside you, if you embrace it, you will possess the very power of a god.
She'll kill us all.
Tell me how we fix this, Charles. Tell me what to do. I don't know what to do.
And what they don't understand, what they fear, and what they fear, we seek to destroy.
This is your fault, Charles. I tried to protect her.
I'm scared. When I lose control, bad things happen to people I love.
The girl dies. She's still Jean. We can still help her.
Sometimes we want to believe people are something that they are not. By the time you realize who they are,
Jean!
it's too late.
I knew it wasn't going to be like the comic, but I liked it a lot more than The Last Stand, I have to be honest. Sophia Turner was great. You could tell that they reshot a lot of stuff, and sadly, 20th Century Fox got bought out by Disney, and a lot of people were happy with that. I wasn't. That was one of my favorite studios, and that was just shit. That was almost as bad as WB getting bought out by Discovery, in my eyes. Like, that was just horrible seeing what happened, seeing them change the original ending and then kind of borrow elements of Dark Phoenix to put into Captain Marvel, which was an inferior film in my eyes. I just wonder how good Dark Phoenix would have been, but I love how Jennifer Lawrence kind of didn't give a shit. She just wanted to get out of the X-Men franchise at that point, but you know, people were like, it wasn't the best ending, and I'm like, it's because it wasn't meant to be an ending. They were just making another entry. I do wish they kept the alternate ending, where they kept Xavier's school and he took a break. That made more sense than naming it after Jean Grey. That didn't make sense to me. They made some questionable choices there. But regardless, though, I thought it was a fitting entry and kind of a conclusion. As far as last film, if you go chronologically, Logan's technically the conclusion, or maybe even Deadpool Wolverine coming up this summer, I don't know. And then in addition to those, you also had the New Mutants, which was postponed over and over again. I still haven't seen that, actually. I kind of want to. But Deadpool was something. Seeing that leaked footage back in 2014, Ryan Reynolds, we all know you did it. Thank you. It was cool seeing that. And seeing that character come to life in a perfect way, poke fun at the past, so meta, breaking the fourth wall at the comics. Deadpool 2 came out. I like Cable and Juggernaut in that, and Domino was underrated. I'm not quite as big of a fan of Deadpool 2 as I was the first. And in addition to that, you also had Wolverine and the X-Men. I loved Midnight Suns. I recently played that. That was a cool game, and seeing Ileana Rasputin there as Magic, you know, Colossus's younger sister, that was kind of cool. And now we have X-Men 97. And that was such a joy seeing that theme. The trailer of it came out on my birthday, and episode 5 onward, like, holy shit, man. Use of Happy Nation by Ace of Base. I love that they use 90s music. The story is so engaging, all the way to the finale. That was just a perfect show. That's how you do a continuation. You can tell that the people behind it actually respected and loved the show to create a proper continuation right after the original show. And in many ways, it's darker and more mature. I loved it. And we'll have to see what Deadpool Wolverine is like. Those are my X-Men memories. Let me know your memories of the X-Men down in the comments below. When did you first fall in love with the X-Men, and what are your brightest memories of the uncanny X-Men? You know, the X-Factor, of the X-Force, the New Mutants, you know, all of it. Just let me know down in the comments below. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more content. Stay mutant and proud, everyone.